Hey guys, Meteorologist Chris Tomer here with this Sunday afternoon evening mountain weather update. Let's go to radar first because our storm system is still spinning up here in the Pacific Northwest with rain and snow depending on your elevation. But this is a pretty good snow for a lot of the Cascades, the volcanoes, and some of that moving into parts of BC, interior BC, Idaho, and northwest Montana. This storm system then will cruise down and hit the Wasatch, the Hyuinas, the Tetons, and also brush Colorado's high peaks with snow over the coming 2 days, 2.5 days roughly. Let me give you the lay of the land on the water vapor. So on this, your oranges and reds are going to be your drier air aloft, and the moisture's in the whites and the blues. And you can see our area of low pressure right up here spinning. It's got like a front out ahead of it pushing moisture. And again, this whole thing is going to dive in to the Intermountain West over the next 2.5 days. Now, behind it, the pattern is going to evolve. Still expecting a moderate intensity atmospheric river setup, our first of the season, and you can kind of see the reach of the jet and this flow pattern all the way back into parts of the Western Pacific. So all of this will eventually move towards the coast, and the jet stream will buckle, and it will run perpendicular to a lot of the high ranges across the west coast, and we're going to really squeeze out. It's going to be like a fire hose. We're going to squeeze out a lot of snow. The latest integrated vapor transport still looks to put us into a moderate intensity atmospheric river, and this is a forecast for that San Francisco area corridor all the way up into the Sierra, but it looks heavy to me. It looks like it's going to be kind of the fire hose is going to be moving north and south from the high Cascades, the volcanoes, all the way down to like Tahoe, up to Shasta. Maybe at times we'll get some snow down at Mammoth as well. But that's what's on tap. So it's still in the forecast. Here are my bullet points for this afternoon. And it's basically the same. Moderate intensity atmospheric river 1120 through 1123, targeting the Sierra, the Cascades, the high volcanoes. And there's going to be overrun, which means all of this precip will overshoot a lot of the West Coast and end up in the interior. It'll end up in Idaho. It'll end up in interior BC, parts of Montana. The Tetons are going to be targeted. The Wasatch will get overrun, and so will Colorado. And that may continue beyond the 23rd. We may have heavy snow in the interior through the 24th and 25th as additional storm systems come in carrying all this moisture. Here are the key dates for snowfall, updated this afternoon for the Wasatch, Tetons, Colorado, Tahoe, and interior BC. So for Colorado, we've got some light to moderate accumulations coming in late on the 18th into the 19th. And then heavy 1124 and 1125. Those numbers have gone up significantly for that surge, if it holds. And that's what can happen when you bring in all this extra moisture off the Pacific and you load it up and you shoot it out over the mountains. Well, that's what you can lift it up and you can really get some heavy snow. Parts of Tahoe, you've got light snow, 1118, heavy 1120 and 1121. That's the first surge. Another surge comes in 1123 and through 24, 25, and even 26, potentially pockets of heavy snow all the way through the period. So this is going to be a good one. Let me take you into Colorado and look at snow mass. So the storm system I pointed out on radar will eventually move in. Now the timing, this is a time height forecast for snow mass, humidity in the atmosphere, a slice of all the vertical layers, timelines at the bottom, where you can read it from right to left, which is just the opposite of normally what you would expect, but that's the way it's done. So a lot of the moisture increases, and it's not big. This front is not terribly strong, but it does have a little bit of moisture with it. Late on the 18th, you can see some of the green increasing, and into the 19th. That's the best shot of snow for snow mass. Aspen, Buttermilk, the Highlands, the I-70 corridor, Summit County, Loveland, the Continental Divide, A Basin, Keystone, whatever, and you get the idea. The latest snow forecast for snow mass puts out about 3 to 4 inches of accumulation. So looking at 2 to 4 for most places, maybe 1 to 4 depending on your elevation for most of the central to northern mountain corridors in Colorado. Let's take a look at the latest forecast radar and satellite. So this is 5:30 this evening. So by the time we get into Monday morning, everything's on the move. And note the cutoff low, the low pressure coming out of New Mexico, Colorado. That's still going to brush northern New Mexico and extreme southern Colorado with a quick shot of snow, and then it's out of here. But it's really all about this storm coming in on its coattails. That slides through the Tetons, a lot of Montana, the Wasatch, and then eventually during the afternoon, evening of the 18th, into the early hours of the 19th into Colorado with a quick shot of snow, and then it's gone. Here comes the leading edge, the big storm system that will help kick off this moderate AR event. You can see the comma shape spin. And again, it's like a fire hose that will be moving north and south up and down the coast. And you can see where it's pointed right here on the 20th. It's right at Tahoe up to Shasta. Big time. There may even be some significant flooding at lower elevations with this. Into the 21st, same kind of thing. And it just continues to rain hard at lower elevations. By the 22nd, again, and notice a lot of this is getting blown into the interior parts of Idaho, Montana, and BC as snowfall. Here we go, 22nd. 23rd, snow moves from Tahoe down to Mammoth. By the time we get into the afternoon of the 23rd, it intensifies. Into the 24th now, it pushes into the interior, especially across Montana and Wyoming, Idaho, and parts of Utah. And then it increases in Colorado. Here we are on the 24th in the afternoon. It loads up across the western slope, central to northern mountains. Another storm hitting California, so it gets blasted again. And then that storm makes its move into the interior and hits the western slope of Colorado, the Wasatch, and the Tetons again. So we're talking about all these impulses that we're going to accumulate snowfall in the mountain areas. So 11, 17, the rest of today through tomorrow, you can see where the numbers are. A little bit of snow, again, late on the 18th into the 19th for the Wasatch, Colorado, and quite a bit more for the Tetons, looking at probably 8 to 14 up there in the Tetons. So a great shot of snow up there. About 6 at Big Sky. Okay, now this period, the numbers have all increased. So we're in the heart, but basically the 20th through the 23rd is the heart of the surge. But even after that, we're still grabbing a lot of excess moisture and moving it into the interior through the 26th. So a couple of feet there for Mammoth, but potentially 3 feet around Tahoe and several feet up around Shasta, couple of feet at Mount Ashland, and look at the numbers all the way up through the high Cascades and the volcanoes. Anywhere in purple's over a foot. I mean, we're looking at 1, 2, 3 feet of snow. Bachelor up to Crystal and Rainier, Baker, Stevens, and Whistler, Blackcomb. And again, some of that gets blown into the interior parts of BC with a foot, maybe more. Idaho does very well on the receiving end, a lot of this. And we're looking at 1 to 2 feet there from Sun Valley, Brundage, all the way up to Schweitzer. And a foot or more for the Tetons. Looking at over a foot now in my forecast for the Wasatch with at least a few different impulses of moisture. In Colorado, all my numbers have gone up. And again, it's a few different impulses, doesn't all come at one time, but now I've got 1 to 2 feet of accumulation, especially across the western slope of Colorado on the receiving end, a lot of this moisture transport. So looking at really good numbers here in this evening's update, guys. Thanks for tuning in here. Always appreciate it. It's going to be very interesting to see how this trends over the next couple of days. Take care and have a great night.